Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to September 2019. We are here in some pretty magical waters, I would say. You know, September is another one of these check-in points with our travels with the sun. The equinox is near the end of this month on the 23rd as the sun moves from Virgo into Libra. And the equinox, whether you're in the southern or the northern hemisphere, is a point of balance. It's a point of harmony. It's a point of check-in. You know, we have the solstices, which are the extremes of light and dark, and we have these equinoxes, which are balancing points, check-in points. And September isn't about revolution the way that July was with our eclipses and August was with the intensity of that fire passion energy. September is about finding harmony and balance. It is about destiny though, and it is about making choices that work for where we're going next. You know, there's a lot of detailed focus, especially for you Aquarians. September with the Virgo and Libran energy that the sun is moving through and the Mercury and Mars and all these planets are moving through is an important time for you to check in with the details. But the way that I want you guys to think about detail when we are in this check-in month, when we are in this magical portal month of the equinox, is that this is about taking off armor. Protective armor. Not by slashing and burning it, not by ripping it off of yourself and forcing yourself to be vulnerable, because that only creates a greater backlash in your self-protection and wants to build up an even thicker wall of self-protection. You know, all of us are capable of doing that practice. But the feeling that came for me as I felt through the energy was this sense of gently taking off little pieces of armor. If you had chainmail all over your body, you know, being able to unhook each loop, right? It's not about this huge overhaul. It's about the little details, the little moments that we show up to, the little moments where we use our throat chakra. So let's go through. There's the astrology in general is gently nudging us forward rather than it being about wild, crazy things, right? We have a full moon in Pisces on the 14th of the month. And, you know, that's your second house of value, what you love and value. And so getting illuminated by Venus and Mercury being conjunct as they enter Libra. So this full moon is really highlighting this kind of communicating where we want love and affection, where we want deep connection. And it's in that fantastical, vibrant energy of Pisces, which is so much about where are we deluding ourselves and where are we, and also where are we stopping ourselves from daydreaming and fantasizing, right? This is a really tender moon. And speaking of taking chainmail off, this is the kind of moon that you want to feel kind of free to really express affection and love. You know, Libra for you all is a fellow air sign that lights up your world vision and the way in the world you want to live in. How do you want to conceive of that world? How do you want it to feel in your bones when you're living in the world? So that moon could be really tender for you as a full moon. Saturn's going direct in your 12th house in Capricorn. 8 of Swords. Speaking of armor, the 8 of Swords is often a protective card, protective energy, but it's also often, you know, our mental armor and how it can actually sabotage us and keep us held hostage when it doesn't need to. So we're going to talk about that. First card out. Aquarians, you're too smart for your own good, which you know that already. I mean, I don't have to tell you. And that is sometimes one of your greatest weaknesses, right? It's the thing that can make it feel hard to just be in the moment sometimes. Not always, but you know, I think especially when something really matters to you or when something's really exciting to you, it's almost like, oh, let's think about it, let's analyze it, let's pull it apart, let's look into it. And then it can almost make you feel as though you're floating and disconnected from the very thing, the very experience, the very connections that you're loving. 7 of Cups. Okay, you guys are in a really dreamy headspace here. The beginning of this month. Virgo season is an interesting time for you. It's 8th house energy, so you're transforming at pretty big levels. This is not, you know, 8th house, the sign that's 8 signs away from us is often a point of great learning, deep integration, right? And this is the perfect place to release any armor, to release any plating, to release anything. This is a great month, Aquarians. 10 of Cups. Wow. That card was just like hanging out of my deck. It just wanted to come out. So did these cards. Okay. Queen of Pentacles, 8 of Pentacles. Okay, so once we get out of your little 8th house moment there, what do we have but a lot of amazing things? But I often find the 8th house energy, whether you're a sun or rising, obviously if you're rising it'll be a little bit more house-based, but 5 of Wands, Ace of Wands, but it's the perfect time to check in with your wiring. So this is a great time to do kind of EFT tapping, or anything that helps you release self-protective mechanisms that have been wired in, because you're kind of in this deep investigative fog that is very supremely mystical. And Hanged Man. Okay, let's call it good with those 8 cards for now. I'm going to be pulling a final card near the end of the talk with my Cosmic Tarot, but first let's start here because, so yeah, I mean, my note for you all was that this powerful expansion energy that's working with you, with Saturn going direct in your 11th house, actually. I don't know why I said no, in your 12th house. Yes. Speaking of being spacey, Saturn is going direct in your 12th house, and we're moving into Libran energy, like I said, your 9th house energy. So we move through the waters, the deep transformative waters of your 8th house into your 9th house of expansion. So if you're willing to roll with the Virgo energy that is going to be bringing up all your tendencies to want to retract, to want to follow any old patterning. And you know, often with 8 of Swords and 7 of Cups and the way that they're paired and the way the message is coming through for me. So inherently what this is telling me, Aquarians, is that you all are opening some doors. Like, you are connecting with people that you love. You are doing projects and sharing of your voice in ways that feel very vulnerable and very raw and very personal. You are taking those steps in life, right? And I think we always think that once we're doing the thing that makes us nervous, once we're in the relationship that feels really good and loving and nurturing, once we're doing the projects that really are part of our heart, that somehow magically we won't have any fear left, that we'll just have moved on and we'll have transformed. But often what happens is when we get to those beautiful magical places, that's when the protection wants to come back in, because it's like, ooh, this is what this is where the potential for hurt is the greatest. This is the potential for where things get ripped away from us is the greatest. So let's figure out how we can retract you and keep you as safe as possible. And those little voices are really, really strong. They can get even louder at times where things are going well, when things are going in a powerful way, when we feel that we are happy with what is opening up for us, when we feel that we are happy with what we have, we can get pulled into this area. And I think the thing to keep in mind, I was mentioning the equinox, balancing out of the light and the dark, checking in with our sense of balance, is not to fight this part of your Aquarian nature, not to fight this part of your self-protective mechanisms, not to judge it or to push against it or to berate that part of yourself, but to listen into it. Hear what it's telling you. Not because it's right or not because it's what you're supposed to be pulled in, but it's telling you something deeper about mythologies that you may have had ingrained in yourself from a very young age, or from a point where you can't even put your finger on. And it's okay to hear it and listen to it and release it. And that is what you're kind of being asked to do at the beginning of the month. But here's the thing with you all, is that the predominant energy of this reading is not about the internal struggle. That's a part of it, and you're supposed to be listening into that. And you're supposed to be nurturing that part of yourself that is scared, that is vulnerable, that wants to protect. You're supposed to be listening in, because a lot of times that voice is the voice of a small child who is looking for security and safety in a world that feels very scary and threatening. Gently nurturing your shadow side and gently nurturing your fear and letting it know that it doesn't need to hold you completely is a really powerful way to transmute your relationship to that part of yourself that does want to be distanced or wants to push people away or wants to be avoidant or just wants to play it safe by just being in your own world, right? Because you know that deeper down, like that's one part of you and that's great, but there's this other part that's deeply connected. And there's this sense that you have that going on this month. You have the deep emotional connections. You have the coming culmination of something really beautiful coming into play for you. You have this emotional abundance that is flowing in. That can often be overwhelming. And, you know, one tool set you have, I think, in the flood of emotions that are going to be working through you this month, because quite honestly, Aquarians, this is going to be a month for you. You have kind of a unique thing going on in September. A lot of people aren't going to be experiencing it this way, but you definitely are, which is that a lot of emotions are going to be working through your body. Things that have been repressed, this is a great time to do stretches with your hips, with your body, release in joints where things can get held, where emotions can get held. But one of your tool sets is going to be in this Pentacles energy right here. Okay, so already I'm going to tell you, this is fantastic money energy. This is fantastic project energy. Like you have something to share with the world and you know that you do. Like just as your individual self, yes, we're talking about all this vulnerability stuff and sharing what you actually want and sharing your heart and your soul and what you love and how you love and being open to that. But there's another part of you too that really needs expression and that helps keep you, speaking of the balance of the equinox, that keeps you feeling your fullest version of self, which is your deepest, dearest projects, where you put all that vibrant Aquarian energy, because it is so powerful and magnetic that Aquarians need to have a project, something that their soul is giving and sharing to the world. And like Queen of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles is fantastic for that. This is telling me that this is where, you know, where you're feeling anguish or fear, go and create. Go and make. You know, get those friends together and talk it out. Go do that weird thing, you know, go get in your car and go watch the moon rise on that Pisces full moon, you know. Go write or paint or get into those meetings or make those phone calls, however it is that you express your deepest soul. You know what that is. You're getting called, you are getting pulled to focus on that this month. And as you express this part of yourself, and you give it full reign, you know what it does? It creates this perfect harmonious environment for you to then be authentic in your expression in any other of your relationships. When we let our soul speak through what we are really made to do, it makes it so much easier to show up to those other conversations, because it's kind of like we can't just shut on or off our authentic voice, right? Like we can't selectively be like, okay, well, when I'm in my studio space or when I'm in my work environment or my project environment, you know, I can just express myself completely, but I have to like shut that down if anybody came in to talk to me, right? It's like once that door is open, it's like anybody who crosses your path, you're just going to continue in the momentum of that authenticity. Right? You're going to continue in that momentum. So the more you're letting yourself create, the easier it's going to be when somebody really wants to see you and really wants to hold you and hold space for you and be present with you and open up those doors. It feels a little bit more natural. So you're being asked to call into that. Now, there is some resistance, y'all. Five of Wands. It's a little conflict, right? I always kind of enjoy Five of Wands in a reading, especially for Aquarians. You guys got an edge. You need to let that out. You know, you don't want to just have it be easy peasy all the time. You like a challenge. You want to get in there. You want to have a debate, a conversation, right? Not always, but sometimes it's fun to get a little excited. Five of Wands for me is like when you have a frustration or you have something you really want to share and you just need to get that energy out. Five in tarot is very much about growth via discomfort. And so a lot of times this can be a conversation that you really want to have, but that's hard to have. Letting something out that you really want to have out that's been holding you back. Like I said, this month there's a lot of throat chakra activation going on in September. So things that maybe you've been holding back or holding inside need to come out. Now, Five of Wands can either be destructive or can be constructive. Destructive is, you know, going on the attack or being avoidant. Constructive is showing up to those conversations and letting your voice be heard, but then also hearing the other side. So there's a little conflict, but then there's also some clarity. Ace of Wands and the Hanged Man. Now here is your balance for the month. Here's kind of the keynote. If we were going to give Aquarians two cards to kind of focus in on. You got a lot of initiating energy going on here. Ace of Wands is like very much, like I said, your voice, your creative voice, your work voice is very strong moving forward this month. And there's a lot of energy guiding you toward using that part of yourself and just feeling that vibrant success, focus, ambition. But there's another part of you. And that's where this armor has to come off, and that chink by chink, gentle nurturing into a soft space that this Hanged Man is representing. Now, the Hanged Man has a lot to do with abundance and ease. And actually, Hanged Man, Aquarians, I feel like this is a big part of who you are, which is that, you often feel misunderstood or a little bit like outside of the bounds of what is commonly accepted, right? And the Hanged Man has been strung up. If you think about the context of this guy, he's got a mob like yelling at him, jeering at him. He has been punished for something that didn't fit into the cultural norms, right? And so, but the whole point is that for him, he's authentic to himself, and he's in alignment. He knows he's accounted for, so he's at peace. So he is abundance incarnate, right? Like he is connected to that gateway between the seen and the unseen. He's also realizes that not everything is about taking action. Not everything is about pushing forward. Not everything is about being in the go mode. That there is also this soft, sweet space of nurturing and opening and softly, gently allowing vulnerability to come through for you, which is a big message this month. I mean, even with Queen of Pentacles, while I was saying, she's kind of focused on creating, she's a nurturer, right? She's a nurturing being that wants to find peace and harmony and love in the quiet, in the gentle. And Queen of Pentacles is kind of your mascot this month in the sense of she is really asking you to nurture in, and that allows you to go out and share what you have to share from your voice. This is also a month, like I said, where old traumas could be coming up for you that are making you feel as though you want to shut down, as though you want to just get into this kind of fiery wands mode and just go and power through. And because you have so much energy that's externalized as well, it could be really tempting to do that. But pay attention to where you're wanting to shut down, where you're wanting to armor up. I'm going to pull a final card from my Cosmic Tarot and see what our final keynote is. And then I'll be giving you some equinox affirmations for this check-in period of balance and harmony. And paying attention to the little micro shifts in our energy. 5 of Pentacles. So, worthiness. When things are going well, we're expressing our voice, we're asking for what we want, we're creating and sharing it with others. That 5 of Pentacles voice, which wants to protect us, wants to say, look, the world is scary, there's not going to be enough. Once you put that voice out there, there's not going to be anywhere for it to go. You better come back over here, back into the old wounds, back into the old traumas. You better put back on that armor. And just get ready for the scarcity to come. This is a voice that could come up for you this month. Because you are invited to abundance. You are invited to vulnerability. Once again, like I said earlier in the reading, rather than judging that voice or getting annoyed or frustrated that it's there, this is a month, and this is one of your big practices this month, and it will really help you crack open into this new energetic phase. Nurture that voice. Be kind to that voice. Don't give it a judgment or a category or overthink it. It can say whatever it wants. You can even let yourself write out what it's saying to you and see what it's saying. where it's patterning, where you notice you are putting on the armor. And as you nurture it, it softens. And you soften into life and into creativity in ways that are so kind and nurturing. And I think you guys need that right now. You need that soft landing spot. Here are your equinox affirmations for this magical time of year. I shed what is no longer serving me gently with nurturing love. I nurture the vulnerable and curious parts of myself. I explore new creative territory by being soft and loving. You guys. You so deserve that. You know? You so deserve that loving and that nurturing. And I think this month is perfect for that. I love you guys so much. You've taught me so much in this life. And you deserve it. You deserve all the beautiful things. But you can only get there if you're really nice to even your darkest of selves, even your most avoidant or scared or worried or over-analytical selves. All those selves have something to give. So be nurturing to yourselves this month. I love you. You can find me on Instagram at SARAHTAROT. I will leave all the links below. You can find me on my website at SARAHTAROT.com. I'm still working. I'm still waiting and figuring out my fall schedule, October, November, December. I will be opening up appointments for one-on-one sessions. So if you're interested in getting on my list, what I'll be doing is emailing out people who are interested in sessions so that they know when those spots open. So then you can go to the calendar, you can book a session that works with your schedule once those are open. So if you're interested in that, email me. All that info is in the description box. I will leave my friend Tiffany at PinkLune's link below as well. She's doing a lot with these beautiful crowns, so go check that out. You never know what she's going to have in her store. I love you guys so much. I will see you for more Moon Magics. For more connective time together, I'm sending you all of my love for September.